Welcome to Study Time, a televised home learning program produced by Rwanda Basic Education Board.
Hello students, welcome to TV learning program. My name is Benon. I will be with senior 4 students in biology. Dear students, this subject is about living organisms. And when we talk about living organisms, we think about organisms which are able to make their own food, organisms which are not able to make their own food and depend on other organisms for food, organisms which are able to fly, and organisms which are not able to fly. We also think about organisms which are aquatic, that means they live in water, and we also think about organisms which live on land. And of all these organisms, we think about organisms which produce their young ones alive and organisms which lay eggs. So you see, there are different traits that different living organisms have. So, to make it clear, because science is part of our life, and when we talk about science, biology is included, this is a subject about facts, which must be supporting certain concept. So from there, to make it clear, scientists decided to classify organisms so that organisms which have the same traits, which have the same characteristics, belong to the same group. From there, we are going to see how scientists did that. And our lesson today is from Unit 2, which is Introduction to Classification. Then the lesson is Taxonomy. Dear students, by the end of this lesson, make sure you are able to describe taxonomic hierarchy. Make sure you are able to explain the importance of classification of living organisms. The word taxonomy is derived from the Greek words taxis, meaning arrangement or division, and nomos, which means method. So here we talk about arrangement or division of organisms, and then the methods which are used to arrange these organisms or to divide these organisms into groups depending on different characteristics. Here, taxonomy is defined as a branch of biology that refers to the process of classifying different living species. A taxon is referred to as a group of organisms classified as a unit, which means within a taxon, we find there groups of organisms which make a unit. Dear students, we can also say taxonomic hierarchy is the process of arranging various organisms into successive levels of biological classification from kingdom to species. That means we start with the wide range of kingdom and we end up with a specific small level of species. Here is the taxonomic hierarchy. We have what we call domain, we have kingdom, we have phylum, we have class, we have order, we have family, we have genus, and then species. So this is taxonomic hierarchy, where we classify organisms depending on characteristics they have. What is the importance of classification? Taxonomy results in classification which allows for storage, retrieval, communication of information about organisms. A key function of taxonomy is to provide correct identification of organisms. That means we do taxonomy purposely to have correct identification of organisms. The methods of taxonomy include the discovery of species, recognition and diagnosing of taxa on the basis of characters. Here we can talk about morphological characters. Here we base on the observable characteristics. Then molecular, here is about the chemical composition. In this case, we can talk about DNA and RNA. Hope you understand the meaning of DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid, and then RNA is ribonucleic acid. We can base on that in the process of classifying organisms. We can also base on the behavior. How do these organisms behave? How do they interact with other organisms? Do they eat other organisms? Do they make their own food? Do they eat meat? Do they eat plants? So in that process, we are able to classify organisms. So we base on morphology, let it be external or internal characteristics. We base on the chemical composition. We also base on the behavior of an organism. Taxonomic hierarchy categories. Here we have the following hierarchies in which different organisms are classified. We have kingdom, which is the highest level of classification. Of course, above kingdom, we have domain, but kingdom is also the highest level of classification, which is divided into subgroups at various levels, as we are going to see. There are 5 kingdoms in which living organisms are classified. Remember, when it comes to living organisms, we have plants and animals. So with these kingdoms, we have kingdom Animalia, we have kingdom Plantae, we have kingdom Fungi, we have kingdom Protista, and kingdom Monella. Those are 5 kingdoms in which all living organisms we see in our environment are classified. Here, we talk about all animals we see. Here, we talk about all plants we see. They are classified in these 5 kingdoms. Kingdom Animalia, kingdom Plantae, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Protista, and kingdom Monella. Even microscopic organisms we can't see with our naked eyes are among these 5 kingdoms. Let us take an example from each kingdom, and we see organisms which we find there. Let us say in kingdom Monera, we find there bacteria. All these are bacteria which have different shapes. Then in kingdom of animals, or kingdom Animalia, we find there insects, we find there squid, we find there horse, we find there sponge, we find there earthworm. You can see all these are different animals that have different morphology, different external characteristics. Then we have kingdom of plants, or kingdom Plantae. Here we have the conifer tree belongs to this kingdom, moss belongs to this kingdom, fern belongs to this kingdom, then broad-leaved tree. Here we can think about the trees we see in our environment. They belong to kingdom Plantae. Then we have kingdom Fungi, or kingdom of fungi. Here we find there mushrooms. I know some of you like eating mushrooms, but every time you're going to eat them, get to know that they belong to the kingdom Fungi. Then yeast. This one is common, and people think about it when they are going to make bread. Yeast is very important. Then mold is another example of fungi. So these mushrooms, yeast, and mold belong to the kingdom fungi. Then we have kingdom protista, or kingdom of protists. Here we find their algae, we find their protozoans. All these belong to kingdom protista. Dear students, from this diagram, we have examples of organisms which belong to different kingdoms, the 5 kingdoms we have talked about. Then let us go to phylum. This is the next level below the kingdom. This is the level of classification and is more specific than kingdom because we are now getting more specific. There are 35 phyla in kingdom Animalia. This one you have to understand it. When we say phylum, that is in singular. When we say phyla, that is in plural. For example, Porifera, that is phylum. Chordata, this is another phylum. This is the phylum of animals which have notochord. Then we have Arthropoda. These ones have segmented body, and their exoskeleton is made up of chitin. Then we have another level, which is class. The class was the most general rank in the taxonomic hierarchy until phyla were not introduced. Kingdom Animalia includes about 108 classes, including class Mammalia, Reptilia, and Aves. These are examples of different classes of organisms. When we say Mammalia, this is the class of mammals. Do you know mammals? This is where humans belong. And then Reptilia, this one is a class of reptiles. These ones which crawl on land. And then Aves, this one includes birds. Actually, this comes from Latin word, and it means birds. Let us see class Mammalia. There are many groups or classes of animals. Mammals is just one group. There are many different groups of mammals. All mammals share the same traits. Some of these traits are mammals have body hair that protects them from cold or sun. Like when you check on our head, when you check on our body, we have hair. Then mammals have 3 middle ear bones, what we call the bones of the ear. Do you remember malleus, incus, and stapes? Those help to give them good hearing. Then we have females have milk to feed their young ones. Remember, humans feed the babies. Lions feed cubs. Cows feed calves. So these mammals feed their young ones. They feed them milk. Then mammals take care of their young ones. Remember, mammals have to take care of their young ones so that they can have proper growth. These days, about humans, we talk about 1,000 days. Right from the time when the sperm meets the egg, then we have 9 months. Then from 9 months, the baby is produced. The mother has to take care of this baby up to the period of 2 years. This means breastfeeding the baby up to the time of 2 years. When you count 9 months of pregnancy plus 2 years, the days are approximately 1,000. Taking care of the young one through the process of breastfeeding. And of course, other important things. And then we have mammals are warm-blooded. That means their temperature doesn't change according to the temperature of the environment. These are animals which belong to class Mammalia. Then we have order. it is a more specific rank than class because, remember, order is below class. The order constitutes one or more than one similar families. There are around 26 orders in class Mammalia, where we can talk about primates, where humans belong, carnivora, where leopard and lion, as well as domestic cat belong, etc. The family is the category of taxonomic hierarchy which includes various genera that share few similarities, like the families in the order Carnivora include Canidae and Felidae. These belong to the same family and have the same characteristics. Then from there, we see examples of animals which belong to the same family, and this family is Felidae. Here we can think about animals like jaguar, cheetah, puma, lion, leopard, tiger, and domestic cat. Those ones belong to the same family. These are the examples we have talked about. And remember, these are the carnivores. They depend on other animals for food. Then we have genus. A group of similar species form a genus. Some genera have only one species and is known as monotypic, whereas some have more than one species and is known as polytypic. For example, lion and tiger are placed under the genus Panthera. That means if we use the word genus, it is singular, it means one, and genera, it means plural or many. Then the last one, or the lowest level of taxonomic hierarchy, is species. It is the lowest level of taxonomic hierarchy. There are about 8.7 million different species on the earth. It refers to a group of organisms that are similar in shape. These organisms must be similar in shape, form, reproductive features, and these can be further divided into subspecies. Here, when we talk about species, we mean organisms which interbreed. They interbreed to produce a fertile offspring. Take an example. When a man and a woman decide to produce, they produce a baby. And remember, this baby, or the young one, will grow and be able to produce babies. So in that case, we say the young one is fertile because he is able to produce other organisms. So when we say species, we mean organisms which are able to interbreed and produce a fertile offspring. Now, after talking about all those levels of classification or taxonomic hierarchy, now we can take examples of these levels. Let us look at them. Let us start with human. Of course, we have said we start with kingdom. Kingdom Animalia. Then we have phylum. This belongs to phylum Chordata. These are organisms which have notochord. Then we have class. Human belong to class Mammalia, as we have seen. And then order. They belong to the order of primate. And then family. They belong to the family of hominidae. And then genus is Homo. Lastly, species, humans are sapiens. Dear students, from this classification, we can write scientific name of humans. We can say scientific name comes from genus and species, binomial, and then we say Homo sapiens. After doing this, we underline our scientific name. The genus name starts with capital letter, and then the species name starts with small letter. Then after, we underline them if we have not put them in italic form. We underline. Does it make sense? So, which means humans belong to kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, class Mammalia, order Primates, family Hominidae, genus Homo, species Sapiens. So the scientific name of humans is Homo sapiens. Let us take another example. Let us talk about lion. Remember, this one is a wild animal, but very important for tourist attraction. And this animal eats other animals. Let us say this is the kingdom. It belongs to kingdom Animalia. Then phylum is Chordata, which means notochord. Then class is Mammalia. That means lion breastfeeds the cub, and the lion takes care of the young one, the cub. Lion is warm-blooded. Lion has hair to protect itself from coldness or too much sunshine. Then we have order, which is carnivora, which means it is an animal which depends on other animals for food. Then we have family, which is then we have genus, which is Panthera, and then species. Here it is Leo. Then from there, we can write scientific name of lion. Remember, we have said the scientific name comes from genus and species. We say the genus name starts with a capital letter, and then the species name starts with a small letter. So from there, we underline. So Panthera leo is the scientific name of lion. And this was put there purposely to avoid misunderstanding or ambiguity in the naming of these organisms during classification. Last one, let us classify domestic cat. Domestic cat. These ones are common in our homes. Kingdom, they belong to kingdom Animalia. Phylum is Chordata. Then class is Mammalia. Order is Carnivora. Then family, they belong to the same family as the lion. That means they are Feridae. And then from there, the genus is Felis, and then species is Curtus. So from there, we can write scientific name of a cat, which is Felis curtus. Then we underline as usual. The genus name starts with a capital letter, then the species name is a small letter. Dear students, have you seen all the taxonomic hierarchies we have talked about, right from kingdom to species? Excellent. If you have understood them, I appreciate your level of understanding. Then, let us see organisms which are in the same genus. Cheetah, lion, leopard, and tiger belong to the same genus. Dear students, this is the homework to test our level of understanding. Question number 1, define the term taxonomy. Question number 2, explain the importance of taxonomy. Question number 3, write taxonomic hierarchy of human. Question number 4, you are provided with cards written on a list of words such as district, country, cell, province, sector, village, and family. A, arrange the above words in increasing size. What is your opinion about people of the same family and those in the whole country? C, compare your arrangement above with 7 groups of biological taxonomic hierarchy. Dear students, thank you very much for active participation. Do your homework to test the level of understanding. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of the day.